Right, my friends, hello and welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be going over the Chris Cole allegations again because there's a bunch of stuff that has recently come out and it wouldn't be right of me to just do the first video and then not update you when the rest of it all came out. So with all that being said, that's the topic of today's video. And as I see here, we've got a few different articles to go through. So let me just switch my scenes over. All right, so obviously I know we're using Shredder News, not the most concrete of evidence, but they do tend to update pretty well when it comes to like new stuff coming out. So the first thing that we have here are pictures. Now, a lot of people were saying in my last video were that if there's no pictures, if there's no evidence, it's innocent until proven guilty. And I'm like, you know what? Fair enough. A lot of people would say that because Zero did drop in pretty quickly after the allegations came out, that would be a good enough piece of evidence in itself. Although, I don't think that's the case, because if you think about the whole Johnny Depp, Amber Heard situation like that we had a few years ago or however long ago it was, Disney dropped Johnny Depp, and it turned out that Johnny was in the right. But the difference is here, right? With the Chris Cole and Christine Flanagan, the son, Wyatt, he actually has come out and spoken about this whole situation and sided with the mother. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into his post as well in this video. But that is something that wasn't the case in the Johnny Depp situation, because a lot of people in my comments on my last video were tying this to the whole Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and just saying it correlates to that very well. But yeah, I can see the side of that, but you've also got to play devil's advocate here too. So with that being said, let's get into this first article. So we've got professional skateboarder Chris Cole's ex-spouse Christine Flanagan has shared photos of the alleged abuse she endured during their marriage. In an Instagram story, Flanagan bravely expressed her emotional trauma to tell the world how she was allegedly beaten, proven dates as evidence of her suffering. Now, in the video she did with Rob Brink, the podcast, she goes over a bunch of this stuff and talks about exactly what happened on those days. And then everyone was like, oh, it's just hearsay. And then she released the pictures with the timestamps, which is what we're going to look at in a moment. He mentioned in an alleged screenshot text message, Cole requested to see the bruises, claiming that he never hurt her. Flanagan documented the injuries as evidence. He mentioned wanting to see bruises. Flanagan said, the following are the photos from the incident. I've been afraid that they are not bad enough, which is a troubling inner monologue that I'm working on, she explained. But also pay attention to the timestamps. Chris told my son that those bruises might not even be from him. She said, they are. The timestamps corroborate it, and remember that my kids witnessed it happen and he admitted to it. When she says he admitted to it, she's talking about the email that I'm going to show you guys in a minute. She added, this was done in order to get him off me, not unprovoked. I was actively being choked. So we got a bruise on the knee here. We've got another visible like site of the bruise here. I mean, I will be honest with you guys. I've got to play devil's advocate on both sides here. Obviously, victims of domestic abuse, my heart goes out to them. It's a shitty situation to be in, but to see it from both sides, like me and Holly, for example, we just muck around on the sofa, and I don't know if this is a woman thing, but she bruises super easily. Like literally, she works in a pet shop, and if she just bumps like her side on the tiniest bit of wood or something like a cage or whatever in the pet shop, then she comes back with like a black hole bruise. So I can see these things happening just in day-to-day life, but the frequency of them, I have to err on the side that these were likely caused by a person. As we've got one on the knee there, very common one. That's a better shot of the knee. And we've got this one on the thigh right here. Again, the pattern of that bruise would kind of tell you that it maybe wasn't just a bump against something. And then you've got this elbow one that looks like it could have been like from hands grabbing the arms, holding them down, like is the alleged story that is told. And then we've got, this is a picture of Chris's face. She goes, this is done in order to get him off of me. Not unprovoked, I was actively being choked. So this is obviously all these same dates, they line up. So we got that. So we got this little cut on the eye here. And if we quickly pop over to the email real quick, you can see here. So this is allegedly an email that Chris sent to get Christine out of jail or like out of trouble from the police after this whole situation that we just went over with the bruises and whatnot. So it says, to whom it may concern, my name is blanked out. Like, why they've blanked it out, I have no idea. And they've blanked out all this stuff. Like, they should have kept this stuff in. Like, I can see why they got rid of the email, but I mean, why blank out the name? So to whom it may concern, my name is, I can imagine, Christopher Cole or James Cole, and I have a history of domestic abuse. On a handful of occasions, I've been physically abusive to my wife, Christine. She hasn't ever called the police on such events, but they've been traumatic to her. The event that happened Friday, January 24th, was not Christine's fault, which, by the way, corroborates with all of the pictures we just saw with the timestamps. My body language and fact that I pinned her down made me the aggressor. She was scared and defending herself from me, and all of her actions were indicative of that. I could have checked up on her, but not physically tried to keep her held down someplace, but I didn't. It was never my intention for her to be in trouble at all. Since it was my fault, she should have been taken to a therapist, not jail. Which is very true, very true. If this is a legit email, which might be, again, playing devil's advocate, it might not be, but I think personally I err on the side of it being true. Not as much as I did in the last video. As I did say last video, it could be like 80% on the side of her being right. Now I'm maybe dropping down to like 70, because a few of these things, they do seem like they could have been doctored. But who knows, either way, I'm still on Christine's side as far as things go so far. But yeah, then we'll X out of that quickly. Then we've got this section here. Chris Cole's son claimed his mum endured years of emotional and physical abuse. So many commenters in some of these posts say that the mum is manipulating the children, blah, blah, blah. But why? He's an adult. Why would he not defend his mum if he need to, and he could defend his dad if he need to? He's a skateboarder. So surely he would prefer to back his dad if his dad was being like manipulated or like lied about, you know? So I just don't see why he would lie about this. But again, I could be wrong. Two-time Skater of the Year Chris Cole has recently broken his silence regarding the serious allegations against him. His former spouse alleged that he pushed her downstairs and her teeth were broken with a beer bottle. You can watch the claims below. So we'll watch a quick segment of this video.
I was pushed downstairs. My teeth were broken with a beer bottle. I had 100-pound suitcases thrown at me at skate contests. I was choked multiple times to the point of not thinking I would survive. My children's lives were threatened. He threatened to unalive my children. My kids witnessed all of this. I have evidence. So that's where I'm at currently. In May, I had posted a video to ask my friends and family to call me my real name and not the nickname that I was given by him. From there, I was issued a cease and desist. It is my belief that the reason he was able to issue that cease and desist is because he is in close proximity to someone who has access to a lawyer like Marty Singer. I have been talking about this abuse lightly for years. It's been on the internet. This isn't a new thing.
And by the way, interesting fact, the same lawyer that Chris is using is the same one that tried to defend Bill Cosby and a few other very sketchy individuals. So I'd recommend looking that up if you haven't.
The reason it escalated is because of the cease and desist. Now, like I said, I do have evidence of all of this. I've posted about evidence. I've given evidence to people that need it. My goal was never to get him off of any sponsors or anything like that.
So also another interesting fact is this happened a few years ago, and obviously Christine, she probably just wants to get the story out there so that one, if you've got someone that's abused you in your life, like an ex-husband like Chris or James Cole as his name actually is, then you would likely not want to have all these like young children and stuff idolizing him when they don't know the behind the scenes of whatnot. But yeah, so I can see all sides of this story, to be honest with you, but I still do think that Christine is telling the truth. Like she said, she didn't want to get him off his sponsors. Obviously that was going to happen if something like this came to like a big enough light.
You understand that when a company has a personality that they're paying that has allegations like this, that they might have to part ways. I'm aware of that. That's not my personal goal. My personal goal is to be able to tell my truthful story because that is my reality. I don't want to be silenced any longer. I was silenced for 15 years. Anytime I reached out for help, I was met with, well, if you say anything, then he won't make any money, and that'll hurt your kids. My kids were used as leverage against me in order to keep me silent.
So that is a pretty deep point there. The fact that she was being told that if she outs him and he loses his cash flow, that it will directly affect their children. That is a pretty heavy bit of emotional manipulation right there, and is something that I can see as plausible.
The consensus of people who think that this is a private matter and it should be kept quiet and the people involved should be dealing with it. They think that if a woman speaks out, that it's icky, it's messy, and that's just not the appropriate way to go about it. I'm here to tell you right now that most people who are abusive are not going to course correct on their own. Talking about it publicly is an incredibly healing process. It's an incredibly beneficial process. I had robbed myself for years of the love and support that me and my kids are now receiving because I'm talking publicly about it. And I think I have a right to do that. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. We don't have to be in each other's orbit. I only want people in my orbit that care that this happened to me, that are there for me and are willing to tell me that it wasn't okay. That's what I want in my life. So if you are not part of that circle, we're good. We don't have to be friends. There's a culture.
Yeah, I get that. You obviously want to surround yourself with the positivity and the people that believe you and trust your story, but you have to have both sides. Like, you can't just surround yourself with people that believe you. You have to have people that question you and make you come out with the stuff, like the more hard-hitting evidence that will actually like get this out there without a doubt. You know what I mean? So while I still am on Christine's side, I feel like you can't just surround yourself with people that are like just going to agree with you and say everything was good. You also have to have people question it. But if you've got the right evidence, it doesn't matter if people question it, because you're in the right. You've got the evidence, you put it out there, you silence those people, and boom, everybody's on your side. But yeah, now you have to give an ear out to the people that are trying to play devil's advocate against you as well. Hear all the sides.
Culture of silence inside of skateboarding that allows this type of abuse to run rampant. Since coming forward, I have had so many people, hundreds of people, message me that they've dealt with this themselves, a lot of women inside of skateboarding specifically, and I'm just appalled. I'm just really upset that I'm the one speaking about it, but it is just so frequent. I'm not talking about just a toxic relationship, which I understand is what my ex is telling people it was. And another thing I'd like to mention, there is not an abusive relationship that has ever existed that doesn't include toxicity.
True. And I'm sure there is blame on both sides, whether it comes to antagonizing or something or other along those lines. But at the end of the day, if you physically lay your hands on someone, you've taken it to the next level. And that is something we should not tolerate anywhere. And I'm not going to play any more of this video here. You guys can go watch it if you want. I would recommend you watching it if you want the full story. Now we're going to have a look at this. So we got Wyatt here. Wyatt expressed his admiration for his mother's strength, saying, "I don't believe anyone could walk away standing strong after the life she has lived, except her. She's been through hell and back to promote the best life my family and I could possibly have, even when it made her life hell once again." He also addressed those who might doubt his mother's claims, making it clear where he stands. This person, my mum, bear in mind this is quoted from Wyatt's Instagram. Wyatt is the son of James Cole and Christine Flanagan. So with the context there, this is what he said. "This person, my mum, doesn't deserve to be called a liar, manipulator, or abuser for seeking the support she so deserves. Those of you who oppose the fact can kiss my friendship and respect goodbye, because if you aren't with her, you're not with me. This is my mum, and I love her more than anyone could ever understand. In this unfolding situation, it's obvious that Wyatt is standing by his mother, backing her as she deals with these serious allegations against her father." And he then wrote this whole post about her like publicly siding with his mother against Chris and James Cole, I should say. But yeah, now if this doesn't speak volumes, you can say all you want, the mother wants to manipulate the kids, but if it was me and my mum was lying, I most certainly would not be siding with her, especially not publicly. At very best, you would just keep quiet, you know what I mean? This seems like a genuine statement, in my opinion. I'm not saying Chris definitely did anything or definitely did whatever. It's not my place to say that. All I'm saying is I'm giving you the evidence and you guys can make your own decisions. Personally, I believe Christine. I've got no reason not to, but all Chris has said is this. This is Chris Cole's response to the whole situation. So where is it? So he literally put up a story, and then I'm almost certain he deleted it shortly after, because I saw this story live and then went to check it like an hour later and it was gone. Maybe I caught the tail end of it, but yeah. Anyway, so this is what Chris says. He says, "Weaponizing and involving children is incredibly traumatic and unfair to them," basically implying that she's using the son, and he's not actually telling the truth, that she's like manipulated him into lying for her. But yeah, he says, "If these accusations were true, they'd be handled in a court of law. As we know with these situations, a lot of the time, they don't end up in court. A lot of people don't want the stress of a court case, but I think if this is legit, then Christine should definitely take this to court. Like, there is something that needs to be settled here. And at very least, even if she doesn't win anything in like compensation-wise, she'll at least get the world to realize she's not lying." But yeah, that's again alleged. I'm not saying she is or she isn't, but personally, in my opinion, I think she might be telling the truth. But yeah. They'd be handled in a court of law, not through court of public opinion and kids' social media. I will make a statement when it won't further harm my kids. So we're going to be looking out for a statement from Chris. And finally, one of our big homies, Jeff DeCesare, a good friend of the channel, he's spoken out publicly as well. Jeff DeCesare risks friendships to speak out on Chris Cole allegations is the right thing to do, which he said in the Lamont podcast that they did recently. And you know what, Jeff? I agree. I'm definitely with Jeff on this one. Jeff is a homie, and it seems like we're on the same page with this one. And finally, the final thing I'm going to leave you with is this video here. Robert Brink just posted this. We're not going to go through and watch any of it because it's quite a long video. But basically, this is the whole podcast. I think there's still a few scenes that they've omitted, but I would recommend watching this because Christine goes into detail about some of the stories, about the fact that Chris Cole's friends knew about the whole domestic abuse of her, but obviously she confided in them, or at least told them or mentioned it to them, but then they can't go and take it to Chris because their payroll is coming from Chris. So a lot of her friends, like mutual friends, were on Chris's payroll, so they had an interest in making sure this didn't come out rather than actually helping her. So that was an interesting thing I saw in this podcast, but I'd recommend checking that out. I'll leave all the links to the videos and that in the description. But that's pretty much it for this update. I would say I'm still a good 70% on Christine's side here at least. Obviously, we want to hear more from Chris. We want a full story. Again, innocent until proven guilty. I 100% get that. The whole situation could turn around at a moment's notice and we could have some irrefutable debunking by Chris. But anyway, with all that said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.